So we've moved a bit further kind of upstream effectively of where we were on a slightly different set of another watercourse that effectively creates itself in high flow conditions. And what we've got here are some different style structures that again do the same thing. They're throttling water. These particular ones are called like a whiskey barrel sort of design or a beer barrel design, depending on what you want to call it. So they're sunk into the ground about a metre and a half. So they interact with the subsurface flow. So you get flow over the top of land that we all see running down the side of something. You also get something called subsurface flow, which is the water running through underneath as well. This interrupts both. It's very strong. You know, you could lean up against this, a cow could brush up against this and it wouldn't cause any problems. They are based on a design that was done out in Belford, and that's been there for, I think, at least 15 years and is still absolutely fine, and that has cows rubbing up against it all the time. The idea was to put things into landscapes that you could use in different situations. So like we were talking before, we were saying depending on what you wanted to do and how much land you had available, this might be something because you didn't lose very much footprint, or perhaps you didn't have the type of soil that you would want to be able to construct it. With these as well, we've got some monitoring on these. So we've got soil moisture probes that are above and below them, and they're giving us a differential between the upward side, so the stream side, and then the bit that doesn't have water in it. What does that look like? So we can get an idea of how well they're performing, not just above ground, but below ground as well. And then in this situation here as well, what we've done is we've tried to take the water from where we were holding it back over there, and we've pulled it all the way to this corner, so that we can then interact with it in different ways. So we've got a dry stone wall that we've augmented. It's all about trying to make water move through the landscape in a slower, kind of more contained fashion, rather than it just racing off a fell or racing off a hillside straight into a river, and then that river inevitably heads straight for a town or something else like that. That time gap that we used to have for stuff landing on a fell side or landing on a hillside and things like that before ending up in a river has become much, much shorter. With some of it is just how we live our life. We have a lot more roads, we have slightly more intensive agriculture, we have less trees. All of these things increase the speed of the water getting to a river and the volume of it getting to the river in a short space of time. And especially in the lakes, with the types of hills and things like that that we have very flashy catchments. That is, that when the rain hits, it gets to a town really, really quickly. Conversely, it also drops quite quickly, but you're dealing with quite a lot of volume in a very short space of time. So trying to spread that out into the landscape a little bit gently and in a controlled way, but also in a way that you can still operate, you know, a farm business or, you know, or a woodland business. You know, this sits here in a woodland, it doesn't really affect anything. If this was a boundary line, you know, if you didn't want to do a fence, you could potentially put one of these in. And on a boundary line or something else like that, that would be really, really good, because you're stopping it, especially on a hill slope or something else like that. You'd stop the flow, interrupt it for a bit, and then it would move forward. And this thing, it's dealt with some reasonable rain. We haven't had a really massive storm, touched some woods, but it's what it has done is it's proved to be pretty effective so far.